All right. Now that I've got Excel's Power Pivot tool active in my copy of Excel, I can now begin creating Excel Power Pivot data models. And then eventually be able to use that data model, whether it contains a single worksheet or multiple worksheets, whether they're appended to one another or they're related to one another, they're merged. Whatever the case is, we can then build pivot tables based off of those data models. So first, let's take a look at creating a data model inside of Power Pivot. So I'm back to my customer info worksheet. If you're following along with me, make sure you hit that worksheet right there. Once you're on that worksheet, make sure you click into it. Doesn't matter where, just as long as you're in there. I'm going to go to my Power Pivot tab. And on the Power Pivot tab, I've got several operations here, one of them being Add to Data Model. I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. Give it just a moment. This will launch the Power Pivot interface. You can see that it is a completely different interface from the standard Excel interface, but they are connected. Anything that I do here is going to relate back into my copy of Microsoft Excel. All we're really doing here is creating the data model, and the data model is just a set of data based off of your Excel data. But the beauty here is the data model can contain the single worksheet data, or it can contain multiple lists, multiple worksheets data, all merged together into one set of data. So I've got my first data model here, or my first set of data in my data model, and it looks good. Up at the top, we have its own ribbon inside of Power Pivot. We got a File tab, a Home tab, Design, and Advanced. On the Home tab, we've got Get External Data. So we do have the option to not just get data from the existing worksheets inside of our workbook here, but we can hop up here and we can pull from other sources as well, such as an Access database or a SQL database or other sources, other external sources that we now want to bring that data into Excel. So we got all sorts of locations that we can pull data from. I recommend, I'm not going to cover all of them, we're just going to talk about Excel data here, but I recommend going through the different types of data that you could pull it from. You might find something that catches your eye and realize that, you know what, we've got this other data that lives inside some other location, other software source, and we could pull that data into Excel and work with it there as well. So something to keep in mind. But we've got our first data set here, customer info. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. We'll keep Excel open, but I closed the Power Pivot window. I'm now going to go to my Order Info tab. Make sure I click into that list. Doesn't matter where. I'll go to my Power Pivot tab, and I'm going to Add to Data Model. All right. So give it a moment again, and we've now got our customer info and our order info inside of our data model. Both of our data sets right there. Now they are two separate tabs, right? Just like they were back inside of Excel. Now our next step, this is great, right? We're able to create a data model that contains both data sets here. But now to really take advantage of the power of Microsoft Excel's Power Pivot tool, not only do we get the two data sets in there, but we now want to relate these two data sets to one another. Customer info, just to remind you, we had the customer ID. Remember 𝗟𝗏𝗍, that good old customer, right? 𝗟𝗏𝗍𝗄𝗏 shows up once inside the customer info data set, but on the order info tab shows up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 6 times there? Yeah, 6 times inside of the order info. So I want to be able to relate these two data sets to one another. Now, once again, this is a very common question that I get asked. I've got 2 worksheets, 2 different lists. They relate in some way through some common field, such as customer ID, and I want to relate them together so I can find this customer and all the orders that they've placed. So let's make sure that we get this portion down. Let's create the data model with the 2 data sets. Make sure you got both the customer info and the order info data in there. And then next, we'll take a look at creating the relationship.